Hey, good morning. Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to this edition of Richard's Rant. I do appreciate your presence, and I'm always humbled by it. As you know, the morning is the best part of the day, and before anything has gone wrong, and that is always the energy that I wish for you. That raw, unparalleled, infinite possibility type of energy. May it be positive in your day. Thank you for tuning in again. As you know, we tend to name the rants after what is trending on the socials. Today is the holiday for Indian Arrival Day. Fun fact, when I was going to school, the holiday was made in primary school and then it was renamed Arrival Day. But to my surprise, we called it Indian Arrival Day, and I'm told that it was renamed again. Although, apart from seeing the information on the National Library, I'm not seeing any proof of it. So, I personally, although I may be wrong, I personally think that we just never let go of the Indian, and it really was and is supposed to be Arrival Day. But if you do have that proof that would finally convince me, comment towards my betterment. Trending today would be Trinidad. That's wonderful. And a lot of information about our culture and people remembering, probably because of the extension of the curfew to start at 10 a.m. on holidays. So also trending is Love in the Place and something else with Trinidad. Oh, Indian Arrival Day, of course. So I think I'll name this one Trinidad. Yeah, I'm gonna do this one freestyle. There is a lot of information. There tends to be a lot after the weekend, possibly because I don't read on the weekend. So maybe that's why, but not necessarily because I actually did this preparation since the week before. So I think it was just a good set of days for the newspaper. Kudos to them. Kudos to them. So, in no particular order, we go. The doctors removed from the parallel healthcare system are protesting their removals. And I am touched. I always knew that it had people in the health center that or sector that actually wanted to do what is expected of them. So the fact that they were removed, they're saying it's a family, where you break me up for? We already in this thing, we invested. And then even apart from the emotional stuff, it doesn't really make sense. If they are already exposed to the danger, they would have already arranged their lifestyle and all that as such. So why in the what should be the fourth quarter you are switching players? That makes no damn sense. But many things government doesn't make sense. But it does suggest to me that, like I keep saying, they're not thinking about this coming to an end. And personally, I believe it's because they're just enjoying the power. This is the power that they always dreamed of. They're just living their best life. Hopefully, I'm wrong, and I legit 100% mean that. Because if I'm right, I mean, yeah, that's fucking horrible. So, a Cuban nurse died from COVID. May he rest in peace. He has been here for the last 15 years working, and he assimilated nicely into our culture. Everybody loved him, etc. and yada. And may he rest in peace. Thank you for your service, dude. Then we have patients not getting food. Apparently, the San Fernando hospital was also introduced to the parallel healthcare system, finally, using additional resources. But either the staff were not assigned or the staff are abandoning their posts in fear. Either way is the government fault. And not because it lands with leadership, but because our leadership is lacking, in my opinion. If they did not schedule, then, yep, you know, self-explanatory. And if the people are absenting, it's because it's poor leadership. They're not motivated to work, and you did a successful job of scaring people away from a natural part of life. Like everything else, you eat cheap sausages, the dye in it could give you cancer. You microwave your food without the cover, you increase your chance of getting cancer from the microwave. You're pregnant and you're doing photocopies, you could make a retarded child. It just, these are the facts of life. So either way, it's their fault. Then someone asked what I think was a good question. Why are the medics from the defense force not deployed, especially since we reached a state of emergency? The medics and stuff in the army should be appropriately trained for crisis management and under, well, emergency like situations, warlike situations, and certainly at war with something. Some would say corona, I says common sense. So either way, we at war with something. So why not deploy the part of our system that is trained for war? Especially since government and government affiliated employees are very, very keen of their job description and limits. So just curious as to why they, yeah. And in Trinidad, what they seem to want to say is that they would relax everything if it is we get vaccinated. That's the toilet drain that they're circling, right? But nobody has said it yet. Probably next week they would say it when somebody else get bribed, just like the business sector get bribed. In my opinion, because you completely flip flop and now pro lockdown to the point where the curfew was extended and you're only going to be allowed to be open from 5 a.m. to 10 today, but the Supermarkets Association of Trinidad and Tobago have sided with the government and they'll be closed today. So that is one of two things. Thing one, it doesn't make sense to get them out for the few hours, maybe legally and all of that. Perhaps their contract would have from 8 to 4, 8 to 8 or whatever. I doubt, because in most of these minimum wage jobs, it's very, very vague if you have a contract at all. Or two, they're gonna get a kickback from the government, possibly the loans that everybody's talking about, or a tax break, or a concession, or something that we might never even hear about. Or maybe I just talking out my ass. But regarding the vaccines, Belgium government has suspended the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because people didn't. So nobody under the age of 41 in Belgium was being allowed. That was the first modification to the vaccine, and people still didn't over this, so now they suspend the whole thing. So I'm pretty sure that between Auntie Cam and Uncle Rowley and Uncle Didi and God alone knows whoever else, those vaccines will find their way to near you. New York, because of all of these issues with the vaccine and loss of public confidence in the vaccine and all that, it's a worldwide situation. New York is actually having a raffle for scholarships. So they want young people to get vaccinated. And once you get vaccinated, you could enter this raffle and you could have your tertiary education free in New York, that is. And I assume you'll have to be a citizen of America, at least. I wonder if it would be a citizen of New York. Either way, not really going to benefit us, right? So, is what it is. No, I apologize again if the rant is just a bit disjointed today. As you know, we're still doing a bit of experimentation with the format. So today I am doing it in the points, or in the order in which the points came up. So, seemingly random, we have a bill for transgender athletes being opposed in Virginia. It's coming to the forefront because a transgender female has a dick and testosterone, or has testosterone, or was born male. That is where I should have started. Yeah, was born male. Wants to compete in the female cross country sport. And as forward thinking as I am, That one not right. Because you born male, so the very definition of transgender is a person of the opposite sex being trapped, or the person being trapped in the opposite sex body from what they feel. So, born with a dick, but think you're a chick, born as a chick, but you really want a dick, and not in the usual way, one of your own. So, sport is about the body, not the mind or what you're feeling inside. So, if you were born as a dude, then you should compete as a dude. However, since that could be psychologically frustrating, especially in these times when things are now being defined, then maybe transgenders should have their own category or categories: trans male, trans female, just like on Pornhub. Pornhub is the pioneer. That's sex is the foundation of everything. We can look there and see how things are already done. And don't tell me any foolishness about wanting to be out. You want to be treated like everybody else, then you would be. Everybody else is arranged according to what is in their pants. So are you. Then I saw that a case that started in 1989 in Liverpool was only now resolved. So our legal system came from England, so maybe this shit started from over there with the length of time it is take to do everything. Apparently, there was a big football game and some fans get killed in a riot, and the police commissioner and bigwigs, an attorney, all of that at the time were accused of changing or modifying evidence to reduce the culpability of the police officers on duty at that time. And now, after all this time, they were found innocent, or at least the case was thrown out due to lack of evidence. So, wow. The only takeaway there was that maybe the fish just really rotten from the head, if they taken so long to. However, I don't think that they take as long with every single little case as this. Maybe they tried to make this one go away. It was probably just never worth their time, and they were hoping that the public opinion would die down. But they thought they was dealing with Trinidad. But. And coming back to the news of Corona, I know that you were worried. I know that you missed it. So, the UK government is openly conducting an experiment to see what social gatherings can do regards Corona and what we think we know about the disease. So, 18,000 people going to watch cricket, and they're going to be tested before and after and monitored and all of that. And yes, they know what they're doing, everybody up and about, and yeah, And this is the mature aspect that the world has that we just don't seem to. Then, sticking with sports, because I'm still trying to synergize it a little bit, I can help myself. Apparently, 70% of women football operate at a loss. Few of them even make $1 million. And I think it's a marketing issue, personally. And I also think it's because they look like dudes. It's like women trying to play boy stuff, and I think it ought to be women playing football. They should look like chicks. If they look like chicks, men would watch, probably for the same reasons that women watch male football. And women would watch to see how the sex doing, because secretly they want to support, or they're at least curious, so maybe they want to compete or tear down each other. But I think that they can't look like lesbians, like butch lesbians or effeminate dudes. They should look like chicks, you know? They should look like chicks. They should look cute. Or they could just accept the reality, or they could just stop trying to market it to mass appeal and market it to niche. Maybe it should just be a streaming sport, a streaming event, or on-demand event or something like that. We'll call that a day. Coming back to Trinidad, 2000, or the same goes to men that play traditionally female sports like netball. Um, Netball itself not that particular, but I think male netball not that fun because they don't look like chicks, but they look a little effeminate, with a little ring thing and the oof to pay in. And I guess the people want to see men. So, yeah. But there's another one that When I remember, traditionally female sport that men. Oh, beach volleyball. But that one is equal playing field. Again, it's proven my theory because they look masculine. The male team look masculine. They look like men. They're clearly men, and they're right. It's not. So that's my 2 cents on it. Anyway, coming all the way back to Trinidad, 2,000 pupils dropped out of the education system since COVID. They didn't drop out, they didn't have a data plan or access to get one of the devices or whatever have you. I think that does a lot, and I think that one business customer could simply fix this, like with the signing of a check, like really one. Almost show that the banks all have expensive ads in the upcoming Olympic broadcast. These ads just go for like 100 million TT dollars and all kind of madness like that. They could have taken just a chunk of that and just fix this. But humans, priorities, that kind of shit. And of course, the banks and stuff need to advertise to gain market share in the local economy. Yeah, because we just don't bank. People actually choose to get pay in their hand and they could successfully do it and just avoid the banks altogether, Yep. Gasparillo community. But the reason why they do this advertising, if you don't know, is really to reduce their profits in a way that also benefits the business. And they could get a tax write-off. So you reduce your profit, you pay less on tax because the expenses go up, and you get back some of the money for the shit that you do because it's through advertising. But they'll also get money back for charity. So it's just a priorities issue, and it's easier to just do up, and it doesn't look better. So they're on shit. Yeah, like most humans. Gasparillo community, they not on shit. They went and they make a food bank, and you could just come, take what you want, no questions asked. I was actually thinking to go, but I think it have people worse off than me. Nevertheless, maybe you could make a food bank in your community, not necessarily literal. Your community could be your friends or the persons, online in your school. That it don't necessarily have to be your neighbors. And the police, they continue to do their amazing work. So they went and they find two men sitting down close to their home drinking puncheon, and they arrest them, a 22 and a 44-year-old. Right? So the men just plead guilty and they charged them 10,000 and 5,500. Wish they had solved a crime instead. I really know amused. The cost of cement has tripled. In other countries, however, to deal with this kind of nonsense, they're actually doing, normal things like putting price ceilings and laws and stuff in place, like in China. But in Trinidad, a bag of cement just going up 3 times normal things in the grocery raising by the day. Probably because they're banking on you not coming out every day, but it is raising by the day for those of us that go regularly, because it's our only form of entertainment. Yep, it's raising by the day. And for those of us that are growing ever fed up and would like to escape, soon we'll have KLM Airlines doing direct flights from Piaco to Amsterdam. And I am looking forward to that. That is a reason to travel. I just got something to save towards and look forward to. Amsterdam is, oh, and they speak English as well. They're mature, they're straightforward, they're honest, crime rate is low, they're not judgmental, they're welcoming to everybody. The only reason why I haven't migrated is on this stupid principle that I have, that I was born here, so I'm supposed to be here. Like, this is my place. I shouldn't go in your place. But I'ma go there. I might live in both places. I'ma go there. I'ma go there. A 28-year-old gardener is missing. He advertised his corn crop, so he would have, farm his corn, advertise the corn crop on Facebook, tell mommy are going out to get my corn sell, and they never see him again. They have a reward up for him for $170,000, hoping to get some kind of, yeah. In addition to that, a 16-year-old food vendor was robbed The fruit vendor was male, so that's all the information. And we had Fresh Street Supermarket in Dabity selling Royal Castle. And that was the straw that break Stuart Young and Rowley, Andy Elsing, and Gerald Hines back. So they take the time to pass a law to stop that too. Because, of course, the kitchen being open in the restaurant to cook this little bit of food to send to the supermarket going to put the whole country at risk for corona. And also people knowing that the supermarket have restaurant food, not just Royal Castle, means that they're gathering just for the restaurant food. Yeah? So that needed to be stopped. And whatever those businesses were trying to do to help their most vulnerable on their payroll, yeah, that help themselves even, yeah, that needs to stop. Yeah. But having said that, their living maids don't need to stop work. They're probably gonna get a little double time today, and their meals are uninterrupted. So is their pay. And we contact trace Corona back to the government. We didn't contact trace it back to any restaurant to date that I'm aware of. Just saying. Facebook was tasked with removing posts that COVID is man-made. Facebook said, all right, we was doing it before because we know we have a responsibility and only embarrass we with all this Facebook Analytica and blah, blah, blah. But we not doing it no more because the information starting to get compelling. Mark believed them. They didn't say Mark believed them. I say that Mark believed them, that is why. So, interesting. I thought that was interesting. So the plot thickens and I am one step further away from getting vaccinated. Apparently, Uncle Gary adopted the Soca Warriors, so he might be a Trinidadian patriot at its best. He married a Miss Trinidad and Tobago. He is the police commissioner, and now he adopted the Soca Warriors because the government is taking all their resources to make sure restaurants not selling true food and restaurants that have a kitchen not cooking in the kitchen. Although if they have a bakery, they could cook in the bakery, and if they're a membership club, they can make pizza and fried chicken and donuts and cake in the back there. But if you name Food Giant with one branch and one location, you can't. So Massey could too, but they can't, right? So because the government resources are tied up with these very urgent matters of national security, the Soca Warriors and many athletes having issues with getting pay and maintaining, not to mention the Olympics is still coming up in a couple days, less than 30 days at the time of doing this recording, right? So apparently Uncle Gary touching his own pocket and, helping out the Soca Warriors with training and food and that kind of thing. Speaking of sport, we have a jumper athlete named Tyra. She continues to do amazing, break records, qualify for shit. More power for you. You go, girl. Handle this. And coming back to Stuart and the government. So again, sorry for the bit of disjointed. But coming back to Stuart and the government, apparently e-commerce is wrong. We want e-commerce, but not at this time, because they're causing people to have to do deliveries and they're going to be outside. Thanks, Stuart. Thanks, sir. I don't really know what the fuck wrong with these people, I really don't know at this point. Businesses want stricter protocols and permission to import vaccines. Why you think that businesses would want stricter protocols? If businesses get even stricter protocols at this point, first to begin, I maintain that I think that they're kissing the government ass for a kickback later on. That's one. Two, if they get stricter protocols, the employment market would be even more in their favor. Right now, people that employ getting treated however they want, far less a little bit down the road. So things will be in their favor in that regard. And then they want to import vaccines. Why do you think they want to import vaccines, not to sell it? They're looking at their economic recovery plan. Where's yours? A car company pulled the workers' last pay to open a vegetable stall. That was some fantastic news. That was amazing. So they took their last pay. The employer came up with the idea, and the employees surprisingly rallied, and they came up with their last pay. They invested it in fruits and vegetables, built a cute little stall, and so they're legal for now. For now. And they also taken food and stuff from the store, unfortunately. It is what it is. But they pool in resources, pool in labor, and splitting profits and losses accordingly. So I find that that is amazing. There's some great forward thinking type stuff going on. And I was told that Jamaica economy is not as shitty as I think, and I need to stop saying things like we don't want to get as bad as Jamaica. I have to revise it to we don't want to get as bad as Jamaica was. And that evidence continues in the newspaper because Unitrust Corporation is asking for our government to redo the laws governing their operation in Trinidad. And while they're asking for that, they're also seeking their own interest by going into Jamaica. So, they fuck up the economy. They take too much money from the IMF, and by take I mean the TFET. And but they were able to bounce back, pay off their loan. They created a manufacturing sector, and by creating the manufacturing sector and a lot of industry in Jamaica, they now have a stock market and it's growing. So people are investing, and yeah, they're the hottest thing right now. If you have money, see what you could do. And if Unitrust could go there, definitely see what you could do because it would be easier. A Dutch court, so we're going back to Europe, ordered Shell to cut emissions by 45%. So, yeah, Dutch, Amsterdam again, yeah, love you. But all that really means is that they're going to shift the shit, 45% spread out over the world instead. But I guess as a start, the concern there, however, is that as we continue to revel that, oil went up, you see what's going on worldwide. Prestige Holdings dropped by 6.29%. So I was thinking maybe they could sell KFC via Massey, but Stuart Young and they already stopped that. But they just had to take the KFC off of it, and then it would come like Massey Coconut and make an arrangement, I suppose. So they could. However, that company would still be profitable. They'll be fine. I'm surprised that they're not investing in some other way though, or in some other thing. I'm surprised in that regard. Maybe their owners are not forward-thinking people. Maybe they just get lucky. They have a product that people want, and that's the full extent of their business acumen. A Unipet employee in Couva, she got charged with skimming, and I hope that she was at least skimming the rich people card, because if she's skimming poor people like me, girl, you real wicked. She's a little girl though, she's 19. And the last story that stood out to me, Amazon is entering the streaming thing. They bought over the MGM studio because they want to get in the fray with Netflix and Hulu and whoever else. Amazon already has some streaming, but by buying over that studio, they would be able to expand. But I didn't give a shit about any of that. Amazon is valued at $2 trillion US dollars. Do you have any idea what 2 trillion is? I'll tell you what 2 trillion is. You're still not going to have an idea, but I'll tell you. 1 trillion is 1,000 billion. A billion is 1,000 million. So a trillion is 1,000 million US dollars. And that company value at two of those. That company is like our economy for the next tens of years. That is for our economy for more than 100 years. Because we have a 60 billion economy. 60. So 1,000 would need 140 billion more for 1,000. And then you have to have 1,000 thousands to make a trillion, and then two of those. So for more than 100 years, that one company could sustain our country for more than 100 years, which means that our economy, our whole economy, and entire economies, not just ours, entire economies could be run if it is that country has a product that the world wants. And don't we have many products that the world wants? What the fuck we really doing here? How much products were actually created here? From nothing. If the government not doing it for you, and the people that you put in charge not doing it for you, remember that you are still responsible for you. And think outside the box and figure shit out. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Richard's Rant. Subscribe to the vibe and comment towards our betterment. Vibes.